Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Rewind That. It's your girl Miss K. If this is your first time coming across my channel, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe if you like the vibe and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Today guys, I'm going to be going over Atlanta Season 3 episodes 7 and 8. First we're going to start off with episode number 7 called Trinity Bone, okay? So in this episode, guys, I'm going to do a quick recap and then we're going to move on. But in this episode, once again, we have one of those episodes where we don't see anybody from the cast of Atlanta. However, there was like a poster of Paperboy on the wall, okay, in one of the later scenes. Okay, so this episode is about a young boy named Bash, and he's been raised by this Trini woman, okay, a Trinidadian woman. She takes care of him. She's basically like a mother to him while his parents work all day or whatever, okay? So Sylvia, she doesn't show up for work. So the parents, they come out, they're ready to get on their regular day, and the mom comes out and she's like, I can't find my keys. And the father is like, what is he still doing here? Like, where's Sylvia? So, like, as I'm thinking about all this stuff, this means that y'all don't even kiss your son bye when he leaves, right? You don't even say so long to him when he leaves out for school. You're just expecting Sylvia to come and take care of every freaking thing. But like I said, Sylvia didn't show up. They don't know where the heck she is. So the mother tells the father that she ordered them coffee and him eggs benedict, and he don't want to eat it. So the father says, hey bud, what's going on? Why don't you eat your food? And he said, it's too bland. And he said, you want me to put something on it? And the son says, spicy curry mango. So I mean, Miss Sylvia got this boy eating right. I'm talking about some spicy foods. He over here watching Proud Family, okay? She raising this baby to have some soul, okay? So the father, he tastes the spicy curry mango sauce, and he almost freaking died, okay? Because it was too hot for him. But the son over there, Bash, he was tearing it up, okay? So anyway, guys, we find out that Sylvia didn't come to work because she died. And it was like, what the heck happened to Sylvia? So yeah, she died, and now the mom has to take Bash to school, which obviously is something that they never do. All right. So she takes Bash to school. Then her and the father get on the phone later on, and she tells the father that the teacher asked why they didn't show up for family picture day. And the father was like, well, we couldn't have been the only ones. Like these people really think that it's regular to just have a kid and work, and have literally nothing to do with their lives. So by the father saying, oh, we couldn't have been the only parents that wasn't there, I guess that was the thing they had to tell themselves to make them feel better, like they're not crappy parents and all that. But anyway, so now they got to figure out how they're going to tell Bash that Sylvia passed away. So they use like dinosaurs, right? And how they become extinct and all that stuff. And sometimes some people may go to sleep and never wake up. And this is how they kind of, ease it on them. All right. So now they have to decide, are they going to let him go to Sylvia's funeral? And they decide that they will, because he needs to be able to say goodbye, because that's what he wanted to do anyway, right? And I think that it was a good decision because she was a big part of his life. All right, so they decided on that. And now I have to mention that throughout this episode, there's this package that's being delivered to their house, and it's addressed to Sylvia. And because it's addressed to Sylvia, the father keeps sending it back. So this is the second attempt, and he's just like, what the heck is going on? So of course he doesn't want to open it because it's not his. So now it's later on, and the wife and the father, they're talking, and they're basically saying, we need to get a new nanny. So the wife is saying, maybe we should get someone that's more metropolitan. She's saying, this time we get somebody that's probably not black. That's what seems like she was saying at first, right? But then she was saying, well, maybe it would be nice if Sebastian could learn Mandarin. So the father says, well, you know how hard it is to find a Chinese nanny. Then all of a sudden, Bash pops up out of nowhere. He says, I'm scared, I can't sleep. So now the mom has to go in there and try to help him go to sleep. And he says, can you sing the Sweet TNT song, And that's the song that his nanny Sylvia used to sing to him. So guys, this is showing us that Sylvia, she's there with this kid all day long, from the beginning of the day to the end of the day when he goes to sleep, all right? And this is the reason why one of her daughters was so upset at the funeral, because she felt like she didn't have time for her own kids because she was busy raising these white folks' kids. Speaking of that, let's move to the funeral scene. So they meet Sylvia's daughters, and the pastor, he's talking at the funeral, and he starts to, just big up Sylvia and say all these nice things about her and everything. And one of the daughters kind of like sucking her teeth and stuff, like, and I was like, what the heck is her problem? So because Sylvia loved the song Sweet TNT, they had some dancers from this school come in and they were dancing to that song. So the daughter that was pissed off, she gets up and she's like, oh, Leah, stop. Like this is not the time for all of this stuff. So she starts going in on her mom. She was never there for us. She was taking care of all these people, kids, this and that, everything that I said already, right? And so they started to almost fight up in there. And I was like, oh gosh, please don't let Miss Sylvia's casket get knocked over. That's all I was caring about. And obviously I felt like this was the wrong time for Sylvia's daughter to be saying all these things. So Sebastian and his parents, they got a little uncomfortable and they were leaving. So later on, the mother says to the father, the way that girl was screaming about her mom, I really don't want Sebastian to feel that way about me. So it was kind of like a lesson for her. Like, she sees that you're not there for your kid. They're going to wind up being angry at you when they get older. You know what I'm saying? But there's one scene that I forgot to mention with Sebastian at the church. And when the pastor was talking, he was like, yes, yes, Lord. I was like, oh my gosh, he's so freaking cute. And then they had this white guy next to him that had a Trini accent. And he was raised by Sylvia too, okay? And they were like, what part of Trinidad and Tobago are you from? He was like, oh no, I'm from Tribeca. I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. I also found it kind of funny how after they left, the father started singing the Sweet TNT song. But the mother looked over at him like, don't even play. And I was like, what is her problem? But obviously we find out later on that she was upset about how things went at the funeral because it made her think about her own life. But hopefully this means that if she's so concerned about how Sebastian is going to think, that maybe you want to start raising your own kid. I mean, she did mention that when she put Sebastian to bed that night, that when she asked him what he wanted to be when he grows up, he told her that he wanted to play steel pen like Uncle Sebastian. So he was just being groomed by Miss Sylvia and her culture and everything, to the point that he just doesn't even have any kind of outlook other than that. And that there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that the parents, they haven't instilled anything in him, right? And so I believe that's what the mom is a little concerned about. But I think because she's white, she's more offended, I feel like. I don't know. I just kind of felt like she was offended by the fact that he wanted to do things that a black person did, or that he aspired to be, a steel pen player or whatever the heck that is. I don't know, guys, but the story of privileged folks. White people problems. I hate to say it like that, but that is what it sounded like and what it looked like to me in this episode. So at the end of the episode, guys, we get a knock on the door, and the father, Miles, he gets up, and it's the package again. All right, this is the third attempt. So he finally opens it, and it's a picture of Sylvia and Sebastian. And this is just showing us once again how involved she was in their son's life, that she was the one that took the picture with him on family picture day. And that is how the episode ended, guys. But I have to remind you guys that it ended pretty like scary, like, because you just hear this woman, obviously Miss Sylvia, and she was singing the Sweet TNT song, and I just found that to be kind of creepy, guys, okay? So anyway, we're going to move on to episode number 8, and that's called New Jazz. So in this episode, guys, freaking Darius and Al, they get high, all right, and separate of all things. And I'm like, what the heck is going on with the fact that These people are separated. You're getting high and you're not even staying together in a different country. So they're in New Amsterdam, all right? So let's talk a bit about this drug and what it's called. Okay, so the drug is called a Nepalese space cake, okay? And I don't know what the heck kind of high it gives you, but clearly it messes you up, makes you have all kinds of hallucinations and crazy things like that, right? So Darius is the one that has taken this drug before, and now he's getting Al to do it. So they go to this little shop and they get 2 coffees and a Nepalese space cake, okay? So now they're sitting down and they're about to eat it. Darius says, whatever happens, just know that I love you, all right? And one thing I can say about Al is he rocks with his weird friend, and he kind of seems like the type of person that wouldn't really have a weird friend like that, but it's too late now, right? So anyway, I also want to mention that we see in this episode that Darius doesn't pay for a daggone thing, and it's always Al paying for it. Like when they were at the coffee shop before this, Al had to pay for the food. And then when they got to the little Nepalese space cake shop or whatever the heck it is, Al also paid. But Darius was like, oh, he gave him the money. And the guy was like, that's not enough. So Darius was like, okay, I'm just going to let the universe handle this. Or fate, he said, right? And he know daggone well that Al is his freaking fate and that Al is going to take care of it. So whatever you need to tell yourself as a man, right? So that's one of the problems that we see here is that Paperboy, he's surrounded by a few folks that are kind of leeching. And I don't really understand why Darius doesn't have like a position or like a job to where he can be making money. I really don't see why that's not what's going on here, to be honest with y'all. But anyway, guys, so they get high. They're walking the streets. Darius has them listening to some music. I don't know how the heck they separate, but they do. But before that, they see a rat twitching on the grounds, dying, right? when Al finally looks down, he screams, and I had to laugh at that. But anyway, like I said, they separate, and Al sees these white kids, and they're acting a fool. And he's just watching them, though. And I said to myself, Al, you have to run now because those kids are wild. And if they see you and recognize you, they're gonna wild out. But no, he continues to stare at the kids, and the kids recognized him, and they kind of like try to chase after him, like, Paperboy, Paperboy, I want to autograph this and that, right? So he goes into hiding. And so while he's hiding, he's like watching through the crack of the door, and he sees the kids looking for him. But then all of a sudden, he sees them grab a strange woman's baby and run. And then they start like playing monkey in the middle or something with the baby. Like, I'm just throwing out a game. It wasn't monkey in the middle. They was just straight up throwing the baby around. And I said, this has to be a hallucination because this is freaking crazy, okay? So then he turns around and he hears this woman crying and he's trying to help her out, and she's like, shh, get out of here, so she must have been doing some type of acting. I don't know what the heck that was about, but he was like, oh, I'm sorry. So then he finds his way into this museum where he meets this lady named Lorraine, and she's telling him that that hat is not working for him, okay? And she said if you had real friends, they would have told you that Chanel is for women and all this stuff. And then she kind of calls him out and says that she knows he's a rapper and stuff, and she really hates rappers because they don't really be knowing what's going on. She don't like the way they say the P word. They don't be owning their masters. They got family members taking care of their stuff, their finances and everything. So basically they don't know where their money is at. And they have friends leeching off of them, right? You paying for everything for your friends. Now, the latter part of the things that I was saying, this is the stuff that Lorraine was telling him later on that night, because she took him to like this underground spot where she called him New Jazz. And New Jazz is a name that we find out that she gives to all the new people that she brings to this underground spot. And they were actually going to have him perform there. So I don't know what was up with this weird place, but in this weird place, Al also runs into Liam Neeson. And I was like, oh shoot, my guy is up in here. Like, this is this is amazing. So anyway, he starts having this weird conversation with him and all this, and Liam Neeson basically saying that he don't really screw with black folks. And I was like, what is going on? Because he's saying he made mistakes in the past about what he said about black folks, but now he don't screw with black people because they try to ruin his career. And Baby Boy was like, but don't you think that you should learn from that? Like, don't say things like that. And Liam Neeson says that's like the beauty of being white. You don't really have to learn from anything. And I was like, wow. So before they get ready to call Paperboy on stage to perform, which he had no idea he was about to do, Lorraine calls him and she's like, come on, Lex, we gotta go, we gotta get out of here. So when they get out of there now, it's daylight, okay? When they left the museum, it was nighttime. And he was like, oh, shoot, it's night already, all right? Because when he went into the museum, it was daylight. When he got out of the museum, it was nighttime. So then when he gets from the underground spot now, it's back to daylight. So he been out for hours, guys, and he's tripping. He don't even realize, though, that he's high this whole time because he doesn't think he's high. He's like, when is this going to kick in, But this whole time he was high, hallucinating and all of this stuff. And so this is when Lorraine was talking to him, and he's like, get away from me, don't touch my face, all of this stuff, just get away from me. You've been telling me I'm stupid all day and all of this stuff. And she's like, I just been telling you the truth. And that's when she started telling him all these things, like, you got your family running your stuff, your finances, all of these friends, you paying for everything, calling him out, his circumstances, right? Sounds familiar. So then she starts saying, you can't feel your legs, you can't feel this, you can't feel that. So that's when he starts tripping out now. And so, he kind of slides down up against the wall and he has this cover over him. And he turns into like the dude that him and Darius passed by earlier in the day when they was on their way to go get that space cookie or space cake. And Darius says to him, don't be that guy, like he's a tourist. And even in that scene, I was thinking to myself, that person right there had that freaking drug, right? So we get this little weird situation where we have Al passing this guy by, and it's himself. Such a freaking weird episode, guys. So long story short, guys, as we close, Al wakes up and he's in the bed. And we find out that he was asleep for hours and hours because Ern came in and he's like, are you okay? I got you some, warm water over there. And I can give you some food. I can warm up your food and stuff like that. And he tells him that he found him on the street. And he had to change his clothes because he vomited and all of this other stuff. So at this point, I was like, where's Lorraine? And Ern was like, your mother? And I was like, never mind, So this kind of shows us a little bit that Al was hallucinating about a woman named Lorraine. And she took a different form, but it was almost like his mom, coming back and giving him some advice. Like, make sure you look into your stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, make sure you know what's going on. You got everybody else taking care of your stuff. You don't know where your money is. You don't know anything. Look to your own stuff, right? So when Ern was leaving, Al said, hey, who owns my masters? And Ern was like, huh? So Al says, when you were negotiating my contract, who owns my masters? And so Ern was like, you do. And I honestly was not surprised about the answer, guys. I feel like Ern will definitely take care of Al. He's been taking care of him, so I wasn't surprised of the answer. And Al just said, thank you. But I think the moral of the story is that Al needs to be more in tune with what's going on with his own business. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be out here making the money and you're rapping and stuff like that and you're taking care of other folks, but you don't even know where the heck your money is going. That's the dangerous part of it all, and that's how they say MC Hammer lost everything because he was just so busy taking care of everybody, splurging on folks and things like that, not knowing, you have to look at your money. You got a budget. And so I think that was kind of a little lesson for Al at this point, guys. So now that he's learned that lesson and he found out that he owns his own masters, he need to figure out how to get Darius on payroll now, okay? Start putting him to work. He out here just enjoying the European life, right? He got his freaking mustache all curled up and everything. Like, what the heck? And so, listen, you got to put this guy to work, all right? Put him on the payroll. Let him earn his way. That's that. Enough with the leeching. And I said it before, guys, I love me some Darius, all right? But the truth is the truth. But that is how the episode ended, and that was new jazz, all right? That's the video for today. Let me know what you guys thought about these episodes. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Until next time, you guys take care and be blessed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.